Welcome to Everyday Tarot, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, and today I'll be talking about a Spring Equinox Tarot Spread. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers daily insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, for fresh perspectives and empowering guidance from the tarot as interpreted by me. The best way to support the podcast right now is to listen daily, rate, review, and to follow or subscribe in your chosen podcast app. The next best way is to check out my Patreon at patreon.com/everydaytarot. I just added some new benefits. You can head over there and check that out. The link is in the show notes if you want to go there. You can always go to my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot, for all the latest information related to the podcast and to find images of the cards that I pull in each episode. If you're local to the Greater Puget Sound area, I have 2 upcoming events. I'd love to see you at my next Let's Talk Tarot Meetup group event on April 6th at 11:15 a.m., where we're meeting at the Haunted Farmers Market in South Tacoma. You can RSVP for that event by clicking on the meetup link below in the show notes. And I am speaking this Sunday, March 23rd, for Evergreen Hearts in their Polyamory Talk series about being pagan and polyamorous. If you're interested in attending this event, you can use my discount code PAGAN to grab a free ticket. All right, so welcome to Season 5 of the podcast. We're here. In this season, I'm talking all about common tarot spreads, and I'll go through 13 different tarot spreads, 1 per episode, and walk you through an example of what it looks like to do them. And if you haven't listened to the other seasons yet, you should go ahead and check those out. In the first season, I introduced tarot through talking about oracle versus tarot cards, myths of tarot, how to find a deck, reading for yourself versus others, and much more. In Season 2 and 3, I went through the major arcana and the 4 suits, 1 per episode. And in Season 4, I talked all about tarot and pop culture and examined representations of tarot in video games, TV shows, movies, and more. And like I said, we'll get into our main discussion now. And today I'm talking about a Spring Equinox Tarot Spread. So I got this spread from Anna Rose at Almanac Supply Company online. I honestly just Googled Spring Equinox Tarot Spreads and found one that I liked. So this is obviously a spread that you would do, like, depending on the season. And so, like I said, I just kind of Googled this one. It's a spread for welcoming in the spring equinox, which just happened yesterday on March 20th, I believe at 2:01 a.m. Pacific time. All right, the spread is 6 cards, and like I said, this is a spread you would do as you enter the spring equinox season, and you want to see kind of what's coming up and how you enter this season. So some of the spreads I'm talking about in this season are spreads you could do anytime, like a past, present, future spread or a card of the day spread. There are ones that are like a month ahead or a week ahead spreads that obviously you could do at the beginning of a week or month. And then there's also these sort of more seasonal spreads that are going to be more time dependent. And obviously if you're in the southern hemisphere, you can look up an autumn or fall equinox spread, or you can go about changing some of the wording on this one. I think the only one, I guess it's about sort of like planting seeds and nurturing, but there's a question about how can I make use of the longer days, so you could change that to shorter days, for example. All right, okay, so like I said, there's 6 cards in this spread. The placement is sort of, there's like a left card, an upper left, an upper right, a right, and then a middle and a bottom. It's sort of like the top part looks like maybe like an arch or a horseshoe, and then there's 2 cards. The last 2 cards are sort of like in the middle section. And like I said, I'll have an image of the spread on my website of like the spread itself, and then I'll show like the cards that I pulled. All right, so let's get into the questions. I'll go through all the questions first, just so you can get an idea, and then we'll grab our tarot decks and I'll make my way through an example of the spread. So the questions are, for the number 1, what seeds should I be planting? The second one is, how can I best nurture these seeds? The third is, what has served me but is no longer needed? 4 is, what can I do to create balance in my life? 5 is how can I make use of these longer days? And 6, what steps can I take to live in alignment with the energies of spring? All right, so let's dive in and see what the cards have to say today. You can go ahead and pause and go grab your tarot deck as we go through. And like I said, if you ever need to reference the spread or want to see like the questions written now, I have those on my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot. And you'll find I do like a blog style entry for every episode. So you can just find today's episode. And you'll see the image there and all the questions if you need like a visual reference. Okay, so go ahead, pause, grab your deck, and let's meet back here as we go through the spread together. All right, so I am using my Anima Mundi deck by Megan Weiwer Wendon, and I went ahead and laid out my 6 cards face down, so you can only see the matching image on the back, and then I as I pulled each card, I was thinking about each question, so feel free to do that or sort of whatever works for you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and for the first question, what seeds should I be planting? I'm going to turn over my card. Ooh, I pulled the Hermit in reverse. And in this Anima Mundi deck, a lot of the images are of critters, sometimes plants, and sometimes sort of like natural features, like the tower is a Mount St. Helens kind of erupting, for example, but this one is of like an octopus, the Hermit. And so, but it is in reverse, so that is interesting. I'm going to go ahead and pull out my tarot deck guidebook and take a look at what it says in there. The Hermit is one of the major arcana cards. It is the 9th card in the major arcana, and like I said, it's depicted as, at least in this, a common octopus. So it says, so when I'm thinking about what seeds should I be planting, it says you are entering a period of introspection and self-discovery. Now is the perfect time to evaluate how things are going and whether or not to change direction. Look inward, plan carefully. You have a desire to seek the truth, so withdraw and take some time to soul search. And again, that's the upright definition. So upright, it would be about introspection, spirituality, solitude, soul searching, meditation, and caution. It says, and then for the reversal, it states that that would be about too much or too little self-reflection, loneliness, and a fear of vulnerability. So it sounds like I maybe tend towards overthinking or fear of sort of putting myself out there and that kind of thing. So it sounds like the seeds I should be planting are, actually going forth and doing the things, taking action, perhaps collaborating or having other people like working with them to sort of combat the loneliness aspect or like my desire to withdraw that might feel very natural to me. And then a fear of vulnerability. So thinking about, again, how do I, sort of move past that? How do I work through it? How do I put myself out there? Maybe even with the fear, doing it scared or allowing it to be hard, and just sort of, working on moving past that. Right now I'm thinking about how I have a presentation coming up this weekend, and I'm about to submit a proposal for like a 3-hour workshop coming up as well. And both of those things are like a little scary to me, but it's definitely something I challenge myself to do and that I like providing and I like supporting the community. And so, that's sort of what's coming up as I think about this right now. All right. So the second question is, how can I best nurture these seeds? So again, if the seeds are putting myself out there, sort of sending out proposals or doing presentations, even when I have maybe an aspect of the fear of vulnerability. So let's see what the cards have to say. Ooh, interesting. Okay, I pulled the 9 of Pentacles, and Pentacles are our earth energy, the material world, sometimes like material goods. And what's depicted on this card is a Bengal tiger. So it says, after working hard for a long time, you're able to reap the benefits of your labor. I like the sound of that. 9 of Pentacles signifies that you've reached a time of indulgence, opulence, comfort, and self-sufficiency. Enjoy it because you deserve it. comfort, luxury, prosperity, self-sufficiency, harmony, and grace. So it sounds like I need to sort of celebrate, take time to reap the benefits of my labor, as it says, sort of indulge, find comfort, self-sufficiency, again, enjoyment, and prosperity, and just sort of settling into that and allowing myself to actually celebrate, especially when I'm doing some of these things that are more challenging and are harder for me to kind of get out of my vulnerability bubble, and really, actually celebrating the things that I have accomplished. So again, I love to hear that. All right. The third question is what has served me and what is no longer needed. I pulled the moon in reverse. So the moon, another major arcana card, is usually about the subconscious. It's a watery. It can be about emotions like fear. So I'll read the upright definition and then try to interpret like the reverse. So it says, the moon, controller of the sea and tides, which has struck fear in the heart of humankind for millennia. A psychological card indicating confusion and being lost in a new place. You may be projecting your own fears into your external environment. It may also indicate illusion. Things may not be as they appear. So upright, this is about illusion, subconscious, fear, and deception. And it says the reversed is more about blocked intuition, unhappiness, confusion, and imbalance. So when I'm thinking about what has served me and what is no longer needed, it sounds like sort of this fear, deception perhaps, maybe not being honest or truthful with others or to myself, feeling lost, or sort of projecting my own fears into my external environment. And this card's telling me, right, like maybe that has served me in the past, maybe that kept me safe or protected, or a part of me that felt vulnerable, it sort of helped with that. But that right now, right, in reversal, that if I'm not letting it go, I'm going to have blocked intuition, unhappiness, confusion, and imbalance. So sort of trying to find balance, which is the next question. So that's a perfect segue. And what's no longer needed. So it sounds like this sort of like watery, subconscious, like sort of getting caught up in the potential or this fear of things happening. I get to let that go, right? Maybe it served me in the past, but it's no longer needed. All right. For our fourth question, we have what can I do to create balance in my life? And I pulled the Page of Wands reversed. All right. So the Page of Wands is depicted on this card as a spotted salamander. It's like a black salamander with like green spots on it, at least in this depiction. So the Page of Wands, like the Fool, has a fresh yet passionate outlook on life. Drawing this card indicates that you have a creative spark in you, so go ahead, be spontaneous, follow your creative muse. So it says upright, it's about exploration, enthusiasm, discovery, and creativity. And in reverse, it's about pessimism, lack of direction, lack of success, and immaturity. So when I'm thinking about how to create balance in my life, right, it's sort of telling me like, how do I, right, lean more perhaps towards the exploration, the creativity, and discovery, and not get too caught up in the pessimism or feeling like down or lack of direction or lack of success or sort of immaturity that might be coming up, maybe around like a victim mindset or like throwing my hands up and saying, oh, right, like, oh, I don't have that creativity right now. Like, oh well, like I just have to wait till tomorrow. And as I think about this right now, doing this tarot podcast has been like a great practice of the idea that like creativity does not just necessarily come to you and that you don't just have to wait for it, but that in creating a podcast that goes out every day, Monday through Friday, I'm nearly podcasting every day. And so this does sometimes mean that sometimes I go into it being like, well, we'll see what I'm going to talk about today. I mean, I generally have like a topic in mind, but that doesn't mean that I'm always feeling like super inspired by it. I sort of plan it out in advance for my whole season, and then I go into it and, sort of explore. And so, yeah, I think for me, this card's like telling me, right, like don't fall too much into the lack of direction or lack of success, or sort of like emphasizing maybe the things that didn't work, and instead try to focus on the things that did work, right? Doing more of those, and still challenging myself to, right, do some of these hard or scarier things when they are aligned with my values, like presenting, or like doing a tarot podcast, or like doing events in person, even if maybe I don't have like a ton of people that show up. All right. So for the fifth question, how can I make use of these longer days? I pulled the, let's see, Roman numerals upside down, Four of Swords reversed, which has like a bird on it of some kind, like a hawk or something. I'll look in my tarot deck guidebook about it, and it will tell me. It lists out all the creatures that are on the cards. So, and again, this is how can I make use of the longer days? So, Four of Swords, red-tailed hawk. Okay, says take a breather, spend some time replenishing your strength, refresh your mind with meditation and calm spaces. So, upright, it says it's about passivity, recharging, rest, and seclusion. And reversed, it's more about restlessness, stress, stagnation, and burnout. So, right, so if this is reversed, I feel like this is telling me, right, that yes, the longer days are there, but maybe like ease into it, right? Take a breather, spend time replenishing your strength, right? I'm entering, for me, early garden season, and I've definitely been less active, or at least less active in the garden over winter. And so thinking about, right, how do I go back into more manual labor and more time outside with, right, strength and calm and meditation, recharging and rest without falling too much into, right, stressing myself out or feeling really restless or burning out, right, early in the season, which can definitely happen if we feel like we put like a lot of pressure on ourselves. So for me here in, mid-March, I just planted out, like I can plant out some non-frost tender things like potatoes or peas, or my garlic is out there, carrots, but not a lot else is growing outside right now. I guess things are kind of coming back in ground. I was talking about things in my raised beds, but right, it's still sort of slow. It's still, we're warming up the soil. We're getting more sun, but also lots of rain, which is great for plant growth. But again, sort of telling me I need to ease into these longer days. All right, and for the sixth question, what steps can I take to live in alignment with the energies of spring? Oh, all the reversal cards today. So I pulled Judgment reversed, and Judgment is another major arcana card. It is close to the end. It's right before the world. So this is a golden eagle that's depicted. This is the 20th card in the major arcana. And it says, you are drawing close to the start of something new, a rebirth of sort. But in order for that to happen, a period of reflection and reevaluation is required. Take this time to look back on your past, purge yourself of past deeds, and move to bigger and better things. So upright, this is about judgment, new potential, rebirth, epiphany, and absolution. And says reversed is about self-doubt, self-judgment, or refusal to change. So when I'm thinking about what steps can I take to live in alignment with the energies of spring, it sounds like, right, sort of getting rid of or trying to move or work through that self-doubt, self-judgment, and refusal to change, right? It's telling me that like something new is coming, a rebirth of sort. Maybe, right, that's in my business. Maybe that's like starting new things, but I still need to kind of have that reflection and a reevaluation, right? Look at the data. Don't just necessarily make decisions based off of our emotions. And then looking back, right, on things in the past, that says purge yourself of past deeds, right? For those things that didn't work, it's okay. Just let it go, right? It doesn't mean anything good or bad about you. Just means, well, okay, it didn't work at the time. Maybe it'll work in the future, but for now, right, let's move on to bigger and better things. So there is this potential, there is this rebirth, there is this epiphany, which is an interesting word as we enter like a new season. I think of epiphany around early January. Um, and so, right, this is the sort of astrological new year, literally today, um, of that we entered Aries season, and that, right, we just finished out Pisces, we just came into the spring equinox, growth, right? Again, that's all of what this spread is about. And so it sounds like this card's telling me, right, like we got to let go of that self doubt and self judgment and the refusal to change, right? That, right, change can be hard, but it sounds like things need to change in order for me to get into this, right, rebirth, into these new things that are coming to me, and this potential and this alignment. Um, all right. So, yeah, I hope that was helpful to you. I'd be very curious to hear about what you got from your spring equinox spread. You can always email me, CamilleASTherapy@gmail.com. I will potentially make a everyday tarot specific email in the future, but for now, that's where you can chat me up, or you can go to my Instagram, KAMCIE13, to chat me up there. You can DM me. Yeah, about what you got from your spring equinox spread, what things are coming to you, how you find balance, what are you nurturing right now. All right, and links for the tarot decks I talk about, those will always be in my show notes on my website if you'd like to look at them or find where to purchase them. And thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Just as a reminder, the podcast comes out daily, Monday through Friday for all of 2025. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.